turn it over to Sandy. We have some folks here to give a brief presentation on the hackathon.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs, members of council. As you have already seen some emails, and obviously today an article in the paper about Longmont's hackathon, which we'll have in the spring. It is currently tentatively scheduled for early April. I know originally we were talking about some March dates, but the real kickoff of the hackathon starts next Tuesday right here in your council chambers. So to give you a little more information about what a hackathon is, I'd like to invite Scott Converse from Pratt Street Associates, as well as Patty Quinones from the St. Vrain Valley Schools, to just give you a very brief overview of what are we talking about. What is a hackathon? Mayor Coombs, members of council, while Scott's taking a look at his presentation, the way that these folks got involved in this was that we started having conversations with Vince Jordan and Jim Wall of ETS and LPC around this hackathon idea, what does this look like, et cetera, and Vince was able to speak with folks from Pratt Street Associates who were very interested in helping us to sponsor this event. That conversation spread out to Patty Quinones, who is, you may have read in the paper, recently received a grant along with her school for the Innovation Center that will be doing similar types of work. So it has become a very quick snowball, which I think is just a fabulous sign of success. So with that, I'll turn it over to Scott.
All right. So the idea behind doing a hackathon is, the reason I'm here is that I am a member of DenHack, which is a hackerspace in Denver, and for the last about a half a dozen years or so I've been doing startup companies out of Boulder, which is where hackathons started. It's Palo Alto and Boulder. That's kind of where they started. So I've been involved with a lot of them for quite a while. So Vince Jordan found me and kind of convinced me to come play. So this is what we think it is. The Longmont Hackathon it's an event. It's focused on creating sustainable civic apps. It involves local businesses and schools. It's affiliated with the Innovation Center, which Patty's going to talk about in just a little bit. It should be a repeated event. We think it's something that should happen on a regular basis. And it needs to be open to all developers, not just schools, although initially we're going to start focused with schools. And it's sponsored by you guys. So this is your hackathon. The players, there are about 7 areas to think about, of which 3 are relevant right now and that we need to focus on and make happen in the next couple months. The first is the hackathon event itself. The second is the City of Longmont. That's you guys and your involvement. And the third is the Skyline High School, the innovation group. This is the SVVSD involvement and how they can really make sure that this is successful as we come out. And we're also going to talk about Longmont businesses and how we get them involved. The Gigabit Network, a proposed hackerspace, and a proposed data center. So in terms of you guys, this is what I've heard. You want to make this the hackathon capital of the United States. I've actually heard the world, which, I mean, okay. Well, there's a thing called a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal, right? Well, why not? This is really what it takes to do it. You need to make the city an open data platform, which means you take these pools of data that you've got hidden around the city and you make them available to developers to create apps on top of. I mean, that's really what a hackathon enables. The problem with a lot of hackathons for cities is they have a tendency to create the app and then get forgotten. So you have to have a city, 2 things, a city that's committed, you are, because you guys started this, and the second is you've got to have it happen on a regular basis. So that's really what and you have to support the developers and you also have to support the apps once you've chosen an app that you think is good enough to actually put out there. And it also does drive the gigabit network usage, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The event itself, we have a website. Scott Roche up there printed it in the paper before he was supposed to. We didn't give it to him. He just found it. So we got to watch that guy. But it's up, it's running. Susan Wolnick's got it, has already gotten a bunch of statistics from it. We're already getting people signing up for the hackathon and already giving us ideas, which sort of surprised us. I don't think this is going to be that difficult to make successful. People really want to do this. The data sets need to be presented by you. They're your data sets, and they need to be driven by the apps that people ask for. So we're going to host those at opencolorado.org, and this, again, needs to be repeated, and we're going to use STEM, which Patty will tell you about, and we're going to use co-sponsorships with businesses, which I'm going to be working on over the next 60 days. And then, as I said, the businesses are going to be involved in this. It's not just focused on schools, so we're going to be asking employers to bring their developers in, as well as other just, geeks in general will be invited to come and play. The people that are involved on your side who are pointing this are Sandy and Kathy Woods, as well as Susan over here, plus a whole bunch of other people in the city have been involved and are helping. So there's actually a pretty fair amount of activity happening right now. And then I have a question for you guys. Part of what has to happen with a hackathon is you need to have rewards. So at the end of the hackathon, you say, that was good, that was okay, that was a C. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then the rest don't get anything. But the guys who did the best, they get something, like a cash award or an iPad or an Xbox, or if they're a student, maybe an internship, or something you guys tell us. What could that be? What would the city be interested in sponsoring? So we don't really know. And this is something that, we're looking for your input on. What would you like to make the reward be for doing these apps? A personal intern for each city council member.
Vince needs a lot of help.
Vince has got this figured out already, believe me. So with that said, I'm going to turn this over to Patty and have her tell us about STEM.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. We're very excited. I'm the principal of Skyline High School, and a lot of you know that there has been a lot of movement and some transformation going on right down the street from you. Skyline High School was just awarded through the St. Vrain Valley School District a large grant, which is the Race to the Top grant. We're very excited. As you can see in that first bullet, it's $16.5 million. We competed from across the country and got down to narrowing the possibilities of being the top 16. And we're very excited and thrilled that the next part of our vision is about to happen. It is the Innovation Center. What is the Innovation Center? If you think back to what colleges are doing to industry, incubators, research and development centers, we're going to push it all the way down to the high school level. We're going to allow students to really participate in real work, real time, and work with industry. Those kinds of things are not only engaging, motivational, but also very exciting for what can happen within a city. As we start thinking about this, I'm kind of thinking about, well, what are the possibilities and what can our kids really do? I'd like to talk a little bit about our STEM program. Right now has over 400 students that are participating specifically to get a certification which focuses on pre-engineering. Along with that, we have a complete Department of Computer Science, which we're very rare across this country to actually have that opportunity for students. The computer science right now has over 300 students, some in STEM, some out of STEM. What's exciting about that is that we really mirror our population. We talk about who's really sitting there, what kinds of kids are involved. Across the board, I'm going to tell you we're a very diverse population. We have 1,300 students and 51% minority. When we look at our STEM Academy, which also includes our Department of Computer Science, these are the statistics. We have 34% female that are involved. We have 36% minority that are involved. We have 26 free and reduced. Out of my general population, I have 49% free and reduced. That to me says it's a way to get themselves to their future. And we're so excited about what this can do for the Innovation Center and working with the city. It's exciting to me in the fact that as we look at what the grant has and the definitions and the things that we said we are going to do, it not only involves Skyline High School, it involves our complete feeder line, which means we're talking elementaries, middle school, high school. It's aligned from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade and then beyond. It's a way for their future, their career, and also a specific workforce that we're getting prepared and ready to come back into this community and service. It's really important to understand just what this means. And the hackathon begins to involve students in a position where they're meeting and working side by side with experts in the field. So we're very excited to host. We've provided a location for the hackathon, and we certainly have the students that will be participating, along with opening it up to all of our students in St. Vrain.
She knows a lot more about it than I do. So it's really a perfect pair when you put them together. And the thing for me that it does is it builds civic awareness in students. I mean, when you were in high school, did you think about the city? I didn't think about the city. And I went to Longmont High and graduated from it. I didn't think about the city when I was here. So this would be an awesome way to really get the kids involved with civic awareness, seems to me. So we want to involve Longmont businesses. This is going to be very important. We've identified a bunch of businesses that we want to go after. We would love to hear from you who we should be talking to, and I'll be driving a lot of that. And what I really want to do there is to create sponsorships between the hackathon and the businesses. And sponsorships meaning they can send people, but they can also spend money. They can pay for the first and second and third and fourth, winners. They can sponsor maybe a potential app. There's a whole bunch of things we could do with local businesses. I think that it creates linkages between the cities, the schools, the city and the business, and the schools and the businesses. You create that three-step thing, school, business, city. All kinds of great things can happen. And of course, we're going to be open to all developers from these businesses. The gigabit network itself, this is kind of amazing. You guys, you know how special this is. And it's, if you take a hackathon and you take a gigabit network and you put them together, they look like nothing anyone else has ever seen in the state and really the region. Even though the gigabit network is pretty nascent right now, but the story is awesome. Put those two things together, people pay attention. So it's great press for the gigabit network, and it's going to be really good at getting people to come and play on the gigabit network. A hackerspace for Longmont. This is something that we'd like to propose longer term. We think that there's a possible partnership with the city here. Hackerspaces are popping up all over the world. There's about 400 or 500 in the United States right now. There's several thousand in the world. It's a place where technical and creative people go to create. That's what it is. They create stuff. They share knowledge. For instance, somebody will come in and teach about JavaScript or teach photography, or like I'm a radio guy, I would put up a podcasting center and teach people how to do internet radio, and then I would apply for a low power FM 100-watt license so we could have a 100-watt station here in Longmont, because Longmont doesn't have a radio station and it needs one, and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that a hackerspace can create. And it also is another place to have hackathons. And you guys have got some unused, not unused, but underutilized facilities that are potentially usable as a hackerspace. And this would be for residents, a nonprofit kind of membership-oriented thing. These are pictures of a hackerspace in Menlo Park that has a high school with a program similar to what Patty's got, and a bunch of pale white geeks like me, basically. And they share. They, like up in the top left-hand corner, that's a kid being taught JavaScript by an HP developer. In the top, that's a physics high school student who has been working with some graduate students from Stanford on physics experiments. And this is all in a hackerspace in Menlo Park. Now, I don't know if you know this, but one of the most advanced data centers in the world is right here in Longmont. I didn't know this until last week. Microsoft, their Bing Maps data center it blew my mind. One of the jobs I had was I ran the triple play system for Cedar Rapids, which was all the cable internet and telephony for McLeod. So I had 150,000 people in the city, and we had about 30,000 customers. And I had a data center that I was responsible for. When I went to this, I couldn't believe it existed. If you look at the picture up there, you'll see that along the bottom, that's the full data center. It looks like a storage facility. If you look at the picture in the middle, that's a pod. It's about half the size of one of the containers you find on a ship. In it is 8,000 processors and 48 petabytes of information, and it costs 1/10 to build as a regular data center. Okay, so why is that in Longmont? Well, because Longmont has the cheapest power in the state. This is what Microsoft said. We asked them, why did you put this here? They said because you have the cheapest power in the state, because you have low real estate costs. You have this data fiber network thing you're building, and you know, that's a really good reason. If you're really going to do that, we'll put it there because of it. That was one of the main reasons. Another one is you guys are easy to work with. The city has a reputation for being easy to work with, at least as far as Microsoft is concerned. They said that there is a facility, there is a high-tech workforce that's nearby. You have the second highest educated workforce in the United States per capita for high-tech behind Silicon Valley is in Boulder, which you know. And you know, I could go on, but basically there's tons of reasons to put a data center here. The biggest one, though, believe it or not, was you're not in a floodplain like Boulder, which I thought was pretty cool. So. The reason I tell you this is I think Longmont has a chance to be the next-gen data center location for Colorado and probably for this region because of the gigabit network. If you have a high-speed 100, 200 gigabytes of data, you can build a cheap, low-cost, high-density data center, and you can do it with local businesses who we're already aware of a few local businesses that want to do this that would help fund this for 1/10 the cost of what it would take to build a standard data center. And maybe we do this as a potential partnership with the city in terms of facilities and location. There's a lot of potential there, and that's something that down the road we think would really add to what the gigabit network is. So it all works together. If you have hackathons mixed with innovation centers, the schools mixed with hacker spaces, which is the general population of creative technicals, and a data center to build it all on, all held together with this data center, with this gigabit network, you tie together everything. The residents, the city, local businesses, schools. In the hackathon, this seems like it's a weekend thing, right? It's just one little thing. It's not. It's a seed. And this is the seed that makes everybody in the city go, oh, okay, they have a gigabit network, and they're talking about hacker spaces, and they're talking about building a data center. And look what the school's doing. Look at the people in that school that are coming out of there. I mean, it's very powerful what it could be. So that kind of sums it up. Any questions? Or?
No, thank you, Scott. That's a great presentation. Oh, excuse me. Councilmember Bagley?
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. So the whole purpose is to develop apps
Yes.
that would allow people to interact with the city and interpret
in general,
data?
it's apps that run on a cell phone.
Do you have one that somebody else has created that would just be a for instance? Just out of curiosity?
Not with me, but because they're generally city specific.
Okay, that's all right.
But as an example, like I told Vince, what I want is I want an app that shows me where the fiber network is, how far I am from it, and if I'm not within 500 feet, when the heck can I get it? When can I buy it? And I want to put that in there right now. Okay, cool. So.
I think Vince actually has one that he developed internally that he will actually put on the screen and show you. Now I'm testing you.
Councilmember Levison?
Yes, I went to the open data leadership training course at National League of Cities, and one app that the gentleman doing the course was from Philadelphia and works. They actually have a whole office that does data-driven stuff in Philadelphia, and he created an app in 10 minutes that for the city of Louisville, Kentucky, you just plug in the name of a restaurant you're standing in front of, and it'll load in the last health inspection report. So you know before you walk in that restaurant whether or not you're going to walk out and get a stomachache. And he did it in 10 minutes, and it was just phenomenal. And there's just, in Boston, they've done a bunch of stuff. As Sandy said in the email, they created apps for people to adopt fire hydrants because they had a hard time keeping them clear. So if there was a fire with all the snow that happens in Boston occasionally, that they could get them. And it was almost a competition, people doing, digging out fire hydrants. And it saved the city a lot of money, built a lot of community, and people had a lot of pride. So there's a whole bunch of different apps, and I think that really the sky's the limit. And we are so lucky, Scott, that you are here and you're interested in Longmont. So thank you for coming back, and thanks for helping us. And I appreciate the council making a leap of faith on this idea that came out of National League of Cities seminar. So I think it's going to be fantastic.
Mayor, I think that Vince
Councilmember
is
Santos?
ready to toss that up there if y'all want to take a look
Given
at
Vince
it.
enough time, but there was also several vendors at the National League of Cities conference in Boston. They had several apps that you could get where you could take a picture of a pothole and send it to the city, or if there was a graffiti, you could take a picture with your iPhone or Droid phone and take a picture and send it to the city so it could be routed to the right department. So, Vince, are you ready?
So if I can add, I know that one thing as they've been working through this, obviously this is from a hackathon, there's been a lot of pace in this as they move forward, and there's other ideas. I think one of the things that I did want to point out is, as Sandy has been briefing me on this, when we talk about within an organization being dynamic, flexible, and creative, I really want to applaud the work that Vince and Pratt and the school district has done on this, but also the staff, because instead of kind of coming in and saying, well, this is what we really wanted to talk about, they were really open in the process and let it start developing into becoming much more than just a hackathon. So there was a lot of great work through the process, and they were moving very quickly. And so I think this process is really embodied being dynamic, flexible, creative, and moving with a sense of urgency.
Mayor, one other last thing before Vince throws this stuff up there. So part of this all begins next Tuesday. So we've put the call out for folks to come to you and to basically describe different situations that they would like to see an app for that. So I'll be, kind of helping to take the notes that day, and we'll just kind of get stuff on the screen. So pretty much that's what the purpose is for the open forum next time. In addition, just because it's right before Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we'll be doing a proclamation celebrating that. And as part of that, the kids that have been involved with that celebration will be coming and speaking to you about the brighter future they see for civic types of things that there could be an app for. So it's going to be a very nice synergy of all those different pieces. So I just want to plug that. It's not the only place that people can give us ideas. They can email them to me. I've already had several people emailing today. The LongmontHackathon.com site is up, and so people are welcome to give their ideas that way. And they're also willing, certainly able to call our office as well. So any of those ways that people have ideas, we'd love to get just a huge list of things out there so that when we pull all these developers and kids together, that they have just tons and tons of ideas of what would be really useful and fun and exciting that would also help with civic engagement and or civic issues that are happening in Longmont.
Thank you.